First, though, goosing the gander. Everyone knows goosing. Every time I say goosing the gander, you laugh, Kirsty. It's brilliant. Goosing the gander.
I've just never heard that expression.
Have you not goosing?
No, it's funny.
To goose is a verb.
Is it? I goose you, it must be, yeah. Anyway,
is it?
Everyone knows, so the point being, everybody knows that goosing or slapping a woman's behind is a no-no. But the question today is, what about when the boot is on the other foot and it's the fella who's getting his posterior felt? I'm asking if we're guilty of dismissing mild sexual assaults on blokes, if mild is the right word, because we think of it as a bit of fun. Maybe we expect men to be able to handle a slap and fiddle on their own without calling in the PC police. Now, a tribunal is actually considering the case of a man who left his job in John Lewis after he says he was slapped on the backside on 3 separate occasions by a female colleague. On the first occasion, 40-year-old Konstantinos Akalamoiris, I think it is, told Bianca Revrena, "Don't do that." On the second occasion, he told her to stop again, he says, but she replied, or so he alleges, "I always do this to the boys." On the third occasion, he made a formal complaint to management, who he says replied by saying, "You should be delighted a colleague liked you enough to slap your bum. You're too sensitive." Now, the manager admits telling Konstantinos not to take the matter seriously, but denies saying he should be delighted to be goosed. Miss Revrena denies slapping this guy on the bum, but claims she only touched his lower back in a caring fashion. While John Lewis denies sex discrimination and the hearing continues. Now, I don't really want to discuss the case because it's active, but did you know, I didn't know this, that as many as 40% of those sexually harassed in the workplace are men? I was surprised by that, but it might explain why 85% of bosses admit taking harassment complaints from guys less seriously. And I'll say again, Andrew, is it because we expect blokes to be able to cope?
Yes. It's quite simple, but, you know, we're in the land of the great double standard here. We're coming off the back of Richard Keys resigning, where Andy Gray's being, you know, sacked.
Sexism.
You know, for sexism and all that. So we've got, you know, this is difficult. Can we comment directly on this?
I don't really want to comment on the case, but if you were a 40-year-old man who's being slapped by a colleague, then what would you do and how would you feel about it?
Well, I would say it seems to me... I would think, might I be able to make some money out of this? Because that's what this appears to be to me, in that set of circumstances. She's 68 years old, she's got an unblemished career record, and she was 40 years at this place. Okay?
Also, but if in this particular case, it's alleged that she did it 3 times.
Yeah, with this...
So that's persistent sexual abuse,
over how long? You know, a few months. Of course, I think that males can handle themselves in this situation more ably than females. It happens that way so much of the time. Women have to put up...
Oh, I've got to know, girls, is this true? Is this true? Would you agree with that?
Women have to put up with a lot. Now, when this happens, I would consider that more threatening than if one of these two, God forbid, were to pinch my butt. I'm not going to be upset by that. I'm going to be thanking them. And can we do it? And can we do it later on, please?
Well, I think it's all about context, a lot of it, anyway. Yeah. And, you know, my husband's reaction to any of that would be, "Hey, game on," you know, or something.
But I know your husband.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
but that
he
would
would.
probably that would be a lot of men's attitude. Would be the well.
Depends on who's doing the pinching, though, doesn't it?
I know she's a lady of a certain age. I don't know whether he would have taken less kindly, or men generally would take more kindly, rather, if it was a 22-year-old Kelly Brook lookalike.
I have to say, I think they would take a difference there.
But it's about context, and, you know, anything to do with... I've written about this, to do with Andy Gray and Richard Keys as well, is that if, say, for example, Andrew pinched my bottom now and said, "Oh, Jane, you've got a great bottom," in front of everybody, I'd laugh it off and I'd say, you know, quip back, because I'm able to... If he did it in the lift when we're on our own, that's a different thing, because that's far more intimidating.
Absolutely.
Some shy men would find being humiliated in front of other people, or the idea of being singled out.
But men are more confident. They're generally more confident. It's about confidence. And you think, if you just quit right back, or if he just said to her, I can't remember what her name is, this lady, but if you just got into the office and said...
Bianca.
She's just touched me on the bottom again. Is there anybody... Does she do this to anybody else? Yeah. You know, that sort of thing. And bring it out into the open and deal with it.
Is a slap on the bum a slap on the bum regardless
I don't think
of who
a woman
is on the
should
receiving
go to court for being slapped on the bum in a lift.
Oh, OK.
There are different ways of dealing with it. And, you know, going to the management is one thing, but I think there's a far better way. Just bring it into the office and go, do you know what? they've just done that to me in the lift. Do they do that to anybody else? And, you know, da-da-da.
And then everybody shouts out, you should be grateful, love.
But ridicule them. Bring it out into the open, ridicule them, you know, put a mirror up to their behaviour and they'd probably stop it.
Fingers crossed. Amanda?
I wonder whether a lot of it is to do with if a man does it to a woman, men are viewed more sort of sexual predators than women, and women are just viewed as kind of, oh, it's just a bit of a laugh. It's like if you see a group of girls going to a Chippendale concert, if they still have those things.
Never.
But do you know what? You just laugh and you go, isn't it tacky? Yeah, if a guy goes to a strip club or goes to watch a lap dance, you go, oh, that's really sleazy. That's one thing. I have a very dear friend who's a director, and he was, well, I guess you could say harassed by a TV female presenter.
Come on, name names.
I can't name names. I'm not going to do it. We know that I can't. But in a kind of joke about it, she'd brush past him and oh, I can't say because that would give away who she was, but she'd brush past him with her enormous breasts, or she'd like squeeze his bum when they were filming and stuff. And he would tell us about it. We were like, ha, ha, how funny. Yeah, I suddenly think, actually, if it had been a girlfriend of mine that had said a male had done it, I'd have been like, that's outrageous. You need to go and sort.
So are you saying we're discriminatory?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's double standards. But I also think men. You know, I was about to say men should just...
It is double standards, but it does work.
Yeah, but
I think it also works. I think men, you know, have a massive amount of sexism against them in the family courts. You know, family courts will go, you're a man, therefore you're not as able to look after your children as them, and all the rights are in, you know, with the mother there. So, you know, in the workplace, women probably have to put up with it.
Men bashing. Men are useless, men are this, men can't handle it.
One of the most astonishing statistics I've ever uncovered in the show is that 40% of complaints about sexual harassment come from men. I'm amazed. I live in hope of being sexually harassed at work.
Admit it either, because it's seen as a sign of weakness amongst our peers.
Right.
But I think that's a big key factor, is the money. Because you can think, you see other people in the papers and you see that they get £20,000 because they were eating a banana and somebody made a suggestive remark.
I'm not going to suggest that is at the root of this case.
I'm talking generally about the 40% of cases.
Let's turn it open to you. Do we feel that men should be able to handle this kind of stuff better than women? Kirsten?
OK, first we have Christian on line 1.
Christian, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
So, double standards here, Christian?
Oh, absolutely. We're back to the sexism now, aren't we, I think, because... I entertain on the weekends as a singer, you know.
Right.
And then sometimes you get smaller venues, you haven't got a stage, and you're down into the crowd, sort of in the corner, maybe. And, you know, I'm getting groped left, right and centre by women that think it's okay, you know, and sometimes my partner's with me on these shows as well. It's all a bit, you know, if a man did that to a woman, you know, it would be riot.
Now, so what do you say when it happens, or do you just ignore it?
Well, it's annoying because I'm not there to do, you know, to be growth. I'm there to perform.
But what do you? I mean, Jane raised a whole lot of interesting things. That for a woman, you know, confront it, bring some humour to it, bring it out into the open. Various suggestions. All of them are better, perhaps, than just doing nothing and just.
No, I mean, I'll sort of, you know, I'll give them a look and shrug it off, you know, and try and.
Because you've got a microphone, so you're instantly in a more powerful position than they are. You should just say something into the microphone. But
then I suppose you upset the mood of the gig.
What sort of entertainment?
Yeah, exactly.
Christian, what sort of entertainment are you in?
Singer.
It's singing. So it's not, you know, if I was there as a stripper, and I'm there to entertain a vast audience, and it's not just one person that thinks they can. And they'll come up sometimes in the middle of a song, you know, and they'll come right into my face, and it's like, you know, I'm not here for this. If you want a strippogram, book one. You know, I'm here to sing, and maybe it'll be a serious song.
Have you ever made what into your face? So I didn't hear that.
Sorry?
What did you say they do?
They just come up into my face, you know, and then they'll try and grope me and grab me and things like that, or if I'm walking...
Have you ever done anything about it, though? Do you ever complain? Because I suppose that the root of this is, I'm trying to get at, if it happened to me, would I complain? I'd like to think I wouldn't, but I would, if I was annoyed by it, I would confront it and bring it out into the open. I'm a great believer that if someone has a problem at work, you should be up front, and then the person responsible, that if people don't like the language I use, for example, say, I really don't like the language, and I will moderate my language.
You're a very senior person, though. I mean, if you're not so senior, you feel like you're going to jeopardise your position.
But you've not always been senior, have you?
No. Mind you, I used to have to take a lot more, a lot more grief then. Christian, thank you. Fascinating. That's what I know.
OK, we'll take Mary next on line 4.
Mary, good morning.
Hello.
Hi there. Double standards?
Well, yeah, it is a double standard. I don't think a man should have to accept sexual harassment any more than a woman does. And obviously they suggested that it was very minor sexual harassment.
Yeah, that's the problem. Again, I said mild if that's what it is. I mean, a slap on the bottom is different from a grab of the breast, but it's still not nice.
But the problem with if you accept a minor harassment, something that happened to me when I was only 19, working in an office where the boss started off making lewd comments. I thought, well, that's just his sense of humour. I don't like it, but that's the way he is. And then it was sitting on my desk, and then it was pressing himself up against me, trying to walk past, and the next thing then, insisting on giving me a lift home and trying to put his arm around me in his car.
But that's where sexism is really bad, I think, and should be taken very seriously, is when it's a very young person who's just starting out in a career, and the boss is using, whatever the gender the boss is using their power as a way to kind of, you know, intimidate the other person.
What did you do, Mary? Did you confront him? I mean, you could say that after having had all that stuff happen to you, you were a fool to get in the car.
Well, the thing is, because I was young, I suppose I was naive, and I just thought, well, he flirts with the other women in the office, not in exactly the same way. I thought, I'm just being oversensitive because it's minor. He hasn't actually grabbed my breast or anything like that. I would have been absolutely horrified if he'd done something like that.
Did you carry on working with him?
Minor, I suppose I did accept it, and that's why it escalated. And that's
what would you do now?
To complain.
What would you do now?
Good question.
No, I would have punched him in the face.
Yes!
And then you'd have gone to court.
And then they'd have
somebody, I won't drop in here. So one of the team here was telling me that she was in a nightclub in Spain, and there was a podium, a guy on a podium, and he, I think, pinched her, and she shoved him off the podium, and he fell down in a massive fight. Fantastic. That's the kind of people we like working on this show. Now, thank you, Mary. After the break,